car. We'll never forget that crash, but he continued courageously to finish the event. Well, Hoogerland then is the man that's now jumped away. And I tell you what, he's motoring. He's going to pick up the 3. Great Britain again are going to have to react to this.
Well, can he make the junction? Can he make the junction, get enough of a respite to be able to start to contribute? Because 4, that starts to look very dangerous indeed. They've got about 10 minutes of racing left in this 2011 World Championships, and the Great Britain team behind them is closing the gap.
Yeah, Lodvik then of Belgium, gulping in the air, that last shot we saw of him. So, the 4 now. Let me recap for you. It's Sorensen, Nicky Sorensen of Denmark, Thomas Buchler from France, and then it's Klaus Ludwig of Belgium and Johnny Hoogerland. So the 2 heroes of the Tour de France are both in this group, Buchler and Hoogerland.
Well, Wiggins is absolutely blazing away to this finish line. He's got Stannard on his wheel, ready to contribute. Those 2 will take it as far as they possibly can before they hand over to David Miller, and David Miller will pass off the baton to Geraint Thomas.
It's coming back, Chris. Now then, this is due to the effort of Wiggins. Look at Bradley Wiggins here. He's now full chat on the front as he's pulling the rest along, accelerating. Okay, the long line has formed behind. The rest are just gritting their teeth to try and stay in the pace of the Olympic gold medalist and world record holder for the team pursuit. He is, of course, from the track background, and that's why that sensational speed is helping. We got a little attack on here. Buchler's reacting behind. 8.8 kilometres to go. What a cliffhanger this is.
Incredible speed that Wiggins is holding, and he hasn't had any help for the last 2 or 3 minutes, and all that background of pursuiting and time trialing, this is what he's using to draw upon. These tiny ramps, that's where they've got to be careful. The Italians on the left-hand side may try to springboard if the speed drops even 1 kilometre an hour.
And still no sign at all of Gilbert. They look back anxiously. Now then, this is where it ramps up fractionally. Nobody's going to try and attack. They can't, because the pace at the front of the peloton is just too high by Wiggins. But this little gap at the moment has got to be bridged. They've got to find the formula to close them down.
Well, I think it'll be about a minute before that actually happens. That little fracture that we saw, Johnny Hoogerland went through too hard. We saw Thomas Voeckler jump onto his wheel, and it broke the rhythm of the 4, so surely they're not going to be able to stay away much longer. Britain, I think, are just waiting there, biding their time now until they start that final wind-up.
Right, are they going to bring them back? It's so close, isn't it? So near, yet so far. And again, Ludwig of Belgium on the front having a crack. The Great Britain team awash with colour here, all on the front of the peloton as they continue to try and close down. Wiggins all the time is the man turning the screw.
But behind them, all the other nations are getting themselves together as country teams. We can see the Italians together, we can see the Australians together. Everybody's getting a chance to regroup behind Great Britain, so I hope they're not just going to get swamped in the final stages. Have they got the firepower to keep control of this around that final bend?
You're right, Italy are up there as well. They are beginning to gather in numbers, and there it is, the advantage. What is it, about 50 metres, that's all.
And there's
an attack. It's Buchler. Buchler has gone. The courage of the man. I always call him the street fighter. Thomas Buchler, carrying the hopes of France, has attacked.
Well, it was really a last-ditch effort, because no way are you going to hold off a marauding peloton like that alone. But it is Thomas Voeckler's style. He is a showman. He will try until the absolute limit.
He sat up, he's given up, he knows there was no chance he could get clear. Well, what a situation now. We're getting nearer and nearer to the finish. Right on the front is Wiggins, still doing the towing. Up there is Paolini, Visconti, the Italian champion. An attack? No, that was Buchler just going back. And also tucked in there, perfect position in the black helmet is Cavendish.
Well, Cavendish, I was just actually looking at this and thinking, you know, your team has worked so hard. Perhaps the best opportunity here is not to sit on the British train, but actually to get yourself to follow the Australian train or even the Italians, because your guys have done so much work to get you to the finish. Take Geraint Thomas and latch onto one of the other trains, but hey, he knows all about sprinting.
He certainly does. And I tell you what, there could be more pushing and shoving than a January sale in this one, I tell you. Wiggins is still on the front. There are the Italians, look, getting themselves organised. 4 Italians, 5 Italians are there. And there on the front, Wiggins. Then it's Cavendish. And they're lining up. Then Geraint Thomas. Then in the wheel of Thomas, it is, of course, Mark Cavendish. So these are the 4 hoping to secure the world title. title then for Mark Cavendish.
Ian Stannard just getting ready to take over the reins from Wiggins there. He's clearly he must be on great form if he's going to be able to outpace Bradley Wiggins in these final kilometres.
Just a final question, Chris. It's all about where is Cavendish going to deliver the blow. I mean, it's a long finishing straight, isn't it? Ramps up with about 400 to go.
Well, he couldn't have been had a better team behind him. He's been perfectly delivered into these closing couple of kilometres, and now 5.5 kilometres remaining. It's time for this sprint to start. Who is it that's going to be the first to launch the train?
Well, you saw the riders in the order that they crossed that mark out. Let me just recap for you. Wiggins leading Stannard, Michael Rogers of Australia, Geraint Thomas, Stanley's in there, Stangeli is in there from Slovenia, Cavendish, Bole, Chris Sutton, Paolini. There's heaps of names there. Bosenhagen went through in 16th place, and Hausler, big sprinter for Australia, went through 17th. So there's about 5 or 6 big sprinters here.
Well, Wiggins is still on the front. He's been there for about 7 minutes, and I think he's just about to finish his effort now. This last tiny rise, it's all he's got to give. He's in danger of getting swamped if he tries to stay there too long. He needs to hand over to Ian Stannard pretty soon. Goes over to the right and closes the door.
Yep, so Wiggins there, he's done a massive amount here of pace setting. Stannard is still coming through. Strongman Stannard, he'll take over then from Wiggins, and then of course it'll be Geraint Thomas leading out Mark Cavendish.
Oh, Cavendish just lost the wheel a little bit there. He just needs to push himself up back into position. He got lined out around that corner, and the Spanish just pushed him out of position. 4.5 Ks
to go. Well, this is certainly going to be an adrenaline rush. Stand by for it. Australians are present as well.
I think that's Baden Cook who's just lining himself up on Mark Cavendish's wheel. That's not a bad wheel to have. The Italians have got together in the middle, and as you said earlier, we still haven't seen Philippe Gilbert, but you can bet your bottom dollar he's in there.
He'll be there somewhere, believe me. So getting nearer now to that island. They'll go round the island straight down to the right-hander, and then it's going to be the finish. Wiggins swings over. His day is done, and a fantastic effort as well by Wiggins in the closing stages. Now it's the big boilerhouse himself. Ian Stannard has come to the front, and Geraint Thomas looks across, and all of a sudden there's a lead out developing here by Australia. Looks like grade 8 Rogers. So it's Rogers on the front for Australia, and 4 Australians have now come through to the front. In fact 5, and the Italians are on the side of them, and Great Britain has squeezed back.
Well, this is what I was worried might happen. They've been working so hard to get themselves in position that the other teams have just been having a free ride, and that they start now. Australia got a full contingent there. They need to perhaps use one of the other trains. Just take Geraint Thomas, but you can see there that Stanners is pushing his way back into the thick of it.
He's going to have to do it. Stanners get himself back up there to try and set up Geraint Thomas to lead out Cavendish. Well, they had the world champion a couple of years ago, and that was Cadel Evans, the Australians. Evans took off in the closing stages. O'Grady sitting second wheel here as well, and there's 2 sprinters in that Australian line, Chris Sutton and of course Baden Cook.
Well, you can see some pushing and shoving going on there with Spain and the Great Britain team nicely placed. You also need not to panic and get too far forward. Remember, it ramps up for the last 400 metres, and that will take its toll.
And if you make that effort too early, that's when you're going to buckle. Fenn looked as though he could have got gold in the under-23s, but 2 Frenchmen nipped past him in the closing 50 metres. What a finish this is going to be. It's compelling, absorbing action. This transcends anything I've seen for a number of years at the finish, as the Australians are still all together at the front. Well, they're bumping and boring a little bit there.
Stuart O'Grady, I can hear him shouting go. He thinks this is the time. You've got to start motoring now, because he's worried about getting swamped. You can see him from the back, very experienced rider calling the shots, but you can see coming round the outside, big danger of getting swamped here.
Riders nearly bumped into each other a little bit further back. I'm just trying to spot where Cav is actually here. Well, the shake-up is now about to unfold. Germany coming to the front as well. Now that is Greipel here. Germany's setting something up as well.
Well, remember that the Great Britain team isn't the experienced train that Mark Cavendish is used to. This is a fantastic dress rehearsal for them for London. 2 kilometres to go. They've got to stay close to the front now.
Only 2 kilometres to go then to decide the Professional World Road Race Championship, and this is a massive peloton now plummeting down to the right-hander that will set them up for the final run to the line. It's all for grabs. Cancellara coming through as well. Look at this. They're bumping and boring the elbows. There's clashing of elbows. And still Australia, with a great deal of confidence, are heading the charge to the right-hander.
Well, if you had anything left now is the time to launch your team, to get round that corner. You can see the Great Britain riders on the right-hand side squeezing through. Cavendish in third position. Oh, he's just got balked there. He didn't quite make the wheel, but he'll find a gap because that's what Mark Cavendish does.
Yes, but he's got nearer to the front at the right time, so Cavendish now is in the shake-up here. Now, are we going to get a world champion? We've waited since 1965 when Tommy Simpson beat the German Rudi Altig for the gold medal.
Well, Cavendish now probably in about 12th position, but he had some space to move up, didn't take it. Clearly happy with his position. He's not going for a traditional train. He's going to let Stannard try to lead him into this corner.
Sorry, Chris, what happened there? Stannard is leading Geraint Thomas out, who looked back anxiously to see where Cab was, and Cab's not on the wheel. So now he's got a lot of work to do here.
Well, Geraint Thomas is there. He's looking back to see if he can find Mark Cavendish. He's dropping back a little bit. He's got a few seconds to sort this out, but not more than 20 seconds.
You're right, so Cavendish now, we're going to focus on him and see whether he can actually get through. It's all about timing your effort. Australia at the front are beginning to lead this one out. Here we go, the full commitment. It's also all about timing your effort to perfection here. There's Geraint Thomas on the far left. He nearly collided with the barriers. Australia now really beginning to flex their muscles at the front. Saw a shot of Geraint Thomas as well, and also Mark Cavendish. Can Cavendish find a way through? He looks as though he's hemmed in at the moment, but remember, he has the explosive finishing power. The line's getting nearer and nearer. Where's the Manx Express? Can he come through? Here he comes, the Manx Express. Mark Cavendish on the left of our screen. He's going to be the world champion. Look for the salute. He's the world champion. Mark Cavendish has won the world title for Great Britain, and we've waited since 1965 when Tommy Simpson won in San Sebastian. The silver medal going to Matt Goss of Australia, and Andre Greipel of Germany getting the bronze. He timed it to absolute perfection.
I can't believe out of all of that carnage, he managed to find a space, get through and deliver. The amount of pressure he's been under, the team did everything for one man today, and he delivered.
Tell you what, Chris, I'd just love to see a slow motion of that, the concluding stages, because he was well back. So Mark Cavendish, winner of 20 stages in the Tour de France, winner of the Milan-San Remo, and now gets the hugs here from Geraint Thomas. He is the world champion. What a finish that was, but didn't the Great Britain team ride magnificently?
Well, they had to do the work when they needed to do it. They did it all through the day, not just in the closing stages. They did everything they could, and in the end, Geraint Thomas went back to look, but he actually rode behind Mark Cavendish. No, you're well positioned, you stay there, and he just policed the move.
Did you see the state of Cancellara there leading over the barriers? And look at this, the hugs are going to go on forever and ever, and it couldn't happen to a nicer guy. Mark Cavendish, champion of the world. Let's not forget, there's Gilbert. We never saw Gilbert once. Let me just recap on the result. Cavendish, the world champion. Goss of Australia, the silver, who challenged very strongly on the line. Here it is, Chris. Talk us through this, and look where Cavendish is.
Well, Cavendish is placed, and he's decided, I like this wheel. Geraint Thomas went back past him, checked on him, left him to it. He found a gap on the right, and the speed there, it was a longer sprint than he would have wanted, but once he got it, once he gets his nose in front, no one's going to get close. He checked them, and he saw that Greipel was coming on the far right, but no, he knew he'd got it. Fantastic win there.
Oh, dear, oh dear. Look at the face. Grimacing, gritting his teeth, looking at the line, that traditional finish of his. Wow, get those arms in the air, Cap. You are the champion of the world. What a fantastic finish.
Great ride by Goss there as well. Not had the most fantastic form, but positioned himself beautifully. His team worked well for him and managed to, we think, well, it's to be confirmed, but we think he got the silver medal there.
You know, the strange Celtic Manx emblem, Chris, is the Triskelion.
There we go.
3 legs, and I think he had the power of 3 there. Look at that for a finish.
Oh, it's going to be photo between Cancellara and Greipel.
Yep.
Just looking to his left could possibly have cost it to Cancellara there, but God, we said don't rule him out,
no,
even in a sprint.
No, so Greipel was up there as well. In fact, I think I called Greipel 3rd originally, but it looks as though that might have been rejigged with slow-mo. In fact, it's gone back up to 3rd. They can't make up their mind here. They're putting the computer finish as Greipel 3rd and Cancellara. on the previous computer reading reversed that. But what a finish, Chris.
Well, by the look of it, he hasn't had